Cool. All right. So go ahead and take your piece of paper. You should have that in front of you. Here's what we're going to do. Go ahead. It doesn't particularly matter, but I would prefer you keep it kind of more landscape than portrait. Okay, so kind of keep it left to right, more horizontal. All right. And then really anywhere on the right side of this piece of paper, I want you to go ahead and I want you to draw a point. Yeah, if you need a pen or a pencil, I have a couple of pencils here, but go ahead and draw a point on the right side of your piece of paper. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to develop this midpoint formula, okay? And you see how I have it drawn here? I'm going to go ahead and write M1. Okay, M1. It doesn't have to be M. It could be X. It could be Y. Just really any variable that we choose. I'm just going with M for midpoint, okay? All right. Now notice, because I have this landscape, I could probably fold it hamburger style, right? So go ahead and fold your paper hamburger style. There we go. Do the best you can. I'm not expecting you guys to be like the best origami artists ever, but see what you can do. Once you've got that folded, I think I see everybody's just about there. All right, cool. Here's what I want you to do. If you guys notice, I have this written in pen, so it's a little easier to see. Do you see how I see like M1 through the paper? If you need, you can draw it a little bit more dark, just so that way you can see it through the paper. Ideally, I would have like parchment paper or like wax paper for this, but we're going to kind of keep it like this. I'm going to go ahead, and since I can kind of see it through the paper, I'm going to draw again. I'm going to draw that dot, or that point, okay? There we go. And this time, right, we'll label it in just a moment. I want to make sure everyone can draw that over their point. Okay. Go ahead and unfold your paper. Okay. And now you should be able to have that mark of that point that you just drew through the paper, right? You can see it through. Go ahead and on that other side, overlap it, okay? Draw it over again, just so that way on this side of the paper, you have both of them clearly, like you can see both of them clearly. And I think you caught on to it. I'm going to label this other point M2. Okay? So I have M1 and M2, 2 points. What can I do with 2 points? A line, segment, either way, right? I can make a line or a line segment. So here's where we get into it. Go ahead as best as you can. I'm not going to expect this to be perfect. Draw a straight line through the 2. As best as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but as best as you can, draw a straight line between the 2. Okay? Now let's think about this. Okay? If I want to find the exact center, which, wait a minute, that's the exact center. You can put a little dash through that. That's the exact center of my line segment, right? We literally just cut it in half, and that's the halfway mark, right? If we think about this, well then this point right here has to be M1, right? It has to be M1 plus M2. It involved both of them to get there, did it not? It involved both M1 and M2 to get there. So it's really M1 plus M2, right? Because we have to add them together like this. We literally had to overlap them. You add them together. And what did we do with the paper? We folded it in half, or we like even divided it in half, right? So we're going to also divide it in half. Okay. Another way to represent this for you guys is instead of using M, like I said, we could use X instead, could we not? It's just choosing a variable for us to use. So how about instead of using M's, I use X's. I use X1 and X2. Same sort of thing, just it doesn't matter what variable we choose. I'm just going to also illustrate with X's. So instead of my M1, M2, what am I going to have for my thing in the middle? What am I going to have?
X1 plus X2 divided by 2.
Exactly, X1 plus X2 divided by 2. It's the same thing. Okay? Same thing. This is called the midpoint formula. Okay? And what this lets us do is if we know our two endpoints, x1, x2, m1, m2, whatever variable we want to choose with that, you can even do y1 and y2, either way. We add the two numbers together, and you divide by 2. And you find the exact middle. In other words, you find the midpoint. What questions do you guys have about how we came up with this formula? Okay. Here's kind of the game plan now. We're going to take just about 10 minutes, work through the notes a little bit, and then from there, we're going to have some time to play around with it a bit more, right? I will do it. We will do it. You guys will do it. And then as we need to adjust, we can answer questions, see how we're solving these problems, okay? And hopefully that means that you guys will be able to do it. Cool. So go ahead and have those notes out that we grabbed at the front. And I think you should see a very familiar sort of formula at the top left. We're going to start with this top left piece. It says quick notes. We're going to start there. It says this. It says, if the line segment AB, notice it's a line segment. How could I tell that that's a line segment and not just a line? Exactly. There's no arrows on the bar that's on the top, right?
Yeah, there is.
Right here?
Oh, wait.
It's okay, it's okay. Right? If line segment AB has endpoints x1 and x2, like we had just seen, right, on some sort of number line, some line that we were able to make, well, then the midpoint M of that line segment, AB, has coordinates, that's that formula we just came up with, x1 plus x2 divided by 2. We're going to take each of those numbers, add them together, divide by 2. Simple as that. All right? So let's do a quick little idea here. A, I'm going to say is over here at like -4. And B, I'm going to say is over here at 5. It's not exactly like that, but supposing it was, okay? We need to find the midpoint M. So I'm going to take -4. That's my x1, -4, plus 5, that's my x2, and divide that by 2. So what is -4 plus 5?
1.
I think we're almost there. -4 plus 5 is 1. right? I'm $4 in debt. I get $5 from grandma. I've got $1 in my bank account. And then I just divide that by 2. So what's 1 divided by 2? 0.5 or a half, right? So the midpoint would be literally at the coordinate half, 1/2. Okay? So m is half. Cool? And that's how we use it. We literally just say, here's this x-coordinate, here's this other x-coordinate, add the 2, divide. And that's it. We've got it. What questions do you have about how we find the midpoint on a number line? I don't want to go too fast. And then I think you started to notice something. On the bottom here, it doesn't just give x1 and x2. What else does it give this time? y1 and y2. Because we recognized with distance, we can't just always use a number line, can we? Sometimes we have to go up and down as well. So our way of dealing with that, funny enough, literally just copy-paste the exact formula and do the same thing with the y's. And that's it. Let me say that again. If you have some sort of line segment P to Q, right? Bottom left box, you're welcome to draw this with me if this helps you. If I have some sort of coordinate grid this time, right? With x's and I have y's, something like this, where P and Q are points that are on that coordinate grid, that plane, well then the exact middle, the midpoint of that line segment, right? Well, I'm going to take, there's my x1 and x2, right? Because I start with this x, I go to that x. But I'm not just going with x's this time, I'm also going up and down with my y's. So I have a y1 and a y2. I'm going left and right and up and down. Well then, I'm going to add the x's and divide by 2, right? So I'm going to take x1 plus x2 and divide that by 2. That's going to give me the x-coordinate. And then I need the y's. I'm going to say y1 plus y2 divided by 2. And now I have my y-coordinate. That's all that's saying. Do it with the x's, do it with the y's. And I've got my coordinate. I write it as x comma y coordinate, like I always do. What questions do you have about how to find the midpoint? Okay. Like I said, the notes won't take too terribly long. It's just kind of working through it. We'll have some time here in just a moment to be able to practice it. So, part A, we're going to look here at example 1. It says, we need to find the midpoint of segment B to D. So you guys tell me, where is B located at?
-4.
-4, right? B is at -4. Where is D located at? 3. Do we agree? 3? Okay. And so I'm literally just going to add them together and divide by 2. So what am I adding on the top?
-4 plus 3.
Do we agree? -4 plus 3, right? -4 plus 3. And then what are we dividing by? What do we divide by? 2. -4 plus 3 is what? -1, right? So -1 over 2, that's my answer. Right? Just add them, divide by 2. What that means is that at -1/2, or right here between 0 and -1, at -1/2, -0.5, this is the exact midpoint between B and D. All we're doing is figuring out where is that spot in the middle to divide it exactly in half. It's like a special case of the distance problem. What questions do you have about how we found the midpoint? Okay, part B. This time, we're not given a number line. We're given coordinates. It says find the coordinates of B, which is the midpoint of A to C. So if we're visualizing this, right, since there's not really a picture here, if we're visualizing this, we have some sort of line segment, A to C, like this. And somewhere exactly in the middle is B, right? Find the coordinates of B, which is the midpoint of A to C. Now there's other information that it gives us. It says that A is located at -3, -2. That's the point that it's at, is -3, -2. And we also know that C is at 5, 10. You see that? It says for A being at -3, -2, and C being at 5, 10. Just so it's clear, x1, y1, x2, y2. It doesn't particularly matter which one we choose as long as we just stay consistent. So now, what am I going to do to find my x coordinate of B, of my midpoint? Yeah. Exactly. So let's add my x's. What are my two x's that I'm adding? -3 and 5 are my x's. Okay, so I'm going to say x's. What are my y's? Look at it. What are my y's here? I think I'm hearing it. What are my y's here? -2 and 10. Yeah. And so now those are the numbers I add. I'm going to take -3 plus 5, divide that by 2. And same thing, -2 plus 10 divided by 2. What is -3 plus 5? And then what's 2 divided by 2? 1. So my x is 1. What is -2 plus 10? Okay, what's 8 divided by 2? 4. So y has to be a 4. Okay? My y's, my x's. I don't like this being written this way, with like x equals y equals. How else could I write my answer here for B? So yeah, B, right, my midpoint is 1, 4. Remember, just x, y. It tells me that the exact middle is at the coordinate 1, 4. And that's what it's looking for. It says find the coordinate of B. So, what questions do you guys have about how to find the midpoint? Okay. You can take these notes with you as we get into our groups here. You'll notice around the room, I don't have this on every single board, but I do have it on a couple of them. There is a picture of a amusement park map. Got some coordinates on there, okay? So when we get into our groups, what you're going to do is you're going to find one of the boards that does have that map, and I have a couple questions for your group to work on together, okay? Here's how we're going to group today, is we're just going to have group of 3, group of 2, group of 3, group of 2, group of 3. All right? So, work together. Start with M. Work together. See what you can do. Yep, you're welcome to grab a marker, grab an eraser, find a board, work together.